Thanksgiving is usually a time when friends and family get together and they celebrate and be thankful for each other. But for me, Thanksgiving is a horrible memory for me. My name is Alan, and Thanksgiving of 2005, which was 18 years ago, would be my last time celebrating Thanksgiving. Back in 2005 on Thanksgiving, it was me, my parents, and my two younger siblings. My parents were very rich. They both owned a multi-million-dollar company. My dad owned one and my mother owned one. And they owned a third one together, which was also a multi-million-dollar company. So my family was pretty rich. We lived there in a mansion that had 7 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. It was a really luxury house. We had it made. My family was also Christian, so they believe in giving back to the community. But anyway, as we were about to sit down and eat dinner, there was a knock at our door. My father looked at my mother and asked, "Hey, hon, are you expecting anyone?" No, I'm not expecting anyone. I don't know who that can be," my mother replied. So my father walked up to the door and he looked through the peephole and he saw that it was a young woman who looked to be about 18 years old. She looked like she just got done crying. And so my father asked through the door, "Can I help you with something? Is everything okay, ma'am?" The woman on the other side of the door replied, "My name is Rebecca. I was living with my mom, but she kicked me out because we had a disagreement, and I was going to try to take a plane to go see my father in California, but the earliest flight is not until the next day. I was wondering if you can provide me a place to stay for tonight and something to eat. Please, I have nowhere to go." Now my family were Christians as well, and they believe in always helping the people in need. So my father looked at my mother nodded at my father, and my father unlocked the door to let this woman in, not knowing that this would be a fatal mistake and one that would be catastrophic to my entire family. When she was let into the house, I was able to get a good look at Rebecca. She had pale skin, blue eyes, and she had brunette hair. She had freckles around her nose and under her eyes. She had a nose piercing on the left side of her nostrils. She was wearing baggy jeans and a black hoodie. Rebecca looked around the house as she was amazed about how big it was. I assumed that she'd never been inside of a mansion before. Now, as Rebecca was looking around, my mother told her, "If you don't mind, I have you make your way to the kitchen. We're about to have dinner." Rebecca didn't say anything. She just walked it towards the kitchen and sat at the table. 30 minutes had passed, and the Thanksgiving food was all on the table. And after we said grace, we began to eat. As we were eating, Rebecca started to ask a lot of questions that I thought was off, such as, "So how much did this house cost? And how much are y'all making a year? I know y'all pretty rich. How much do y'all pay in taxes? I'm just curious if you mind answering me. I don't know." My father looked confused, and then he said in a calm, polite, but stern voice, "Rebecca, with all due respect, that's really not none of your business. Sorry, if you get where I'm coming from, that's, my father replied in an awkward way. But my father wasn't wrong. That really wasn't none of her business. And why was she asking these questions? But I would soon find out. After we got done with the whole feast of Thanksgiving, we all went to bed. My mother gave Rebecca one of the spare rooms to have for tonight. And my mother offered Rebecca some of her clothes that she doesn't wear much as pajamas, as my mother took the clothes that Rebecca wore coming into the house and put it in the laundry. After that, all of us went off to bed, and I went off to bed as well. But not even an hour after I fell asleep, I woke up to hearing yelling and shouting. Then I heard a gunshot. 2 gunshots to be exact. I got up from my bed and I ran downstairs, and I was met with a horrifying sight. It was my mother. She was shot 3 times in the head as blood was pouring on the carpet. My dad had his hands up, crying, as Rebecca was holding a gun at my father. Then I noticed something out of the corner of my eye laying on the carpet, and I turned and I saw both of my siblings bleeding out. I knew they were dead. Everything did not feel real. My chest began to hurt. I can feel myself running out of breath, but not out of grief, out of excitement. I can't believe me and Rebecca actually got away with this. I can't believe the plan went well without a hitch. See, as you're listening to this, I kind of deceived all of you. This was well planned out, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. See, I know Rebecca. She's my girlfriend, and we are truly in love. And a couple of weeks ago, she found out she was pregnant with my child. And knowing how my father would react, he would have kicked me out of the house and disowned me and cut me off of the family fortune. And there was no fucking way that was going to happen. So, me and Rebecca concocted a plan to have my whole entire family murdered. And it went well. After she got done killing my father, she looked to me and said, "Okay, now that your whole entire family is murdered, what do we do next, Alan?" Then I replied by telling her, "Leave the bodies there and get rid of any evidence of us having anything to do with it. Once the authorities come, they're gonna think that we were kidnapped. But my father and mother has a lot of enemies, so they will suspect them before they think that we have anything to do with it. And by that time, we'll come up with a good alibi. Now, we need to stay in town just long enough so we can inherit my family's fortune. Then after that, we're gonna take off." After I got done explaining to her, we took off in my father's car. Once we got the money we inherited, we changed our names and moved out of the country. To this day, the authorities suspect it was one of my parents' enemies, but they don't suspect me or my girlfriend. You can easily say we committed the perfect crime.